Unscripted, unshackled, uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for more mature audiences only.
It's Miguel and Holly, Uncensored.
Welcome to Miguel and Holly Uncensored. This is our off-air podcast we do normally on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays around 10:30. We stream it live. You can always get it wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure to leave us a review. We would greatly appreciate it. And if you are traveling over the holidays, check out some of our other podcasts, like the Miguel and Holly Full Show podcast, Miguel and Holly Queen City Confessions, or Blown Off. You can listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts or on the iHeartRadio app. So we're doing a special edition on Tuesday today, because tomorrow and Thursday from 6 a.m. till 7 p.m., our butts will be squarely in the Seacrest studios at Levine Children's Hospital doing our radiothon.
Man, I can't believe we're here again. Here we are.
Like, this year has flown by, and I know if someone was able to like take all the voice recordings we've ever done and to get all the times we have uttered that phrase, it would probably be a good 2-day long thing.
It would, and it would sound ridiculous.
Right.
Us just talking about how how the time flies all the time. Like, it sound ridiculous. But this year has felt to me like it has flown, but also like it's been 5 years.
Right.
Like, some of the stuff I was dealing with in May seems like it was so long ago that I forgot that it happened. Like, my mom passed away this year, and it feels like it was several years ago. And also at the same time, it still does feel like it hasn't even been a year yet. So this year, I feel like I entered different timelines or multiverses this year, because it's been, time has moved weirdly for me.
Do you ever feel like, and because I didn't think about this beforehand, this thought occurred to me as you were talking. Like,
this is one of those podcasts.
Yes.
Ooh, my favorite.
Right. Do you ever feel like pop culture and life is escaping you? So let me talk you through what I'm saying.
Okay.
I feel like, and I haven't been able to pinpoint exactly if it's a physical feeling or just a thought, where I felt like when I was in my 20s and in my early 30s, I felt like I was on the grasp of culture, where like I could tell you what's happening. And I feel like not much in my life when it comes to how I access pop culture has changed. Like, I still watch, trending TV shows, and I'm, in the celebrity culture, probably not as much when it comes to that. I still go out, and we have friends that are like super connected, into things. But there's just this feeling I have that like somehow culture has somehow passed me by, and I can't pinpoint exactly. Like, maybe it was the pandemic. I don't know, but I've been trying to put my finger on exactly what that is.
I think it's called getting older. I think
caring less.
That's what it is, though. You're describing something that I think everyone from probably I don't know how young it stretches. So you're 37?
38.
Okay, so you're 38. I'm 41.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is.
Oh.
I was born when I was born.
This is me.
Now I'm just gonna be pissed off about people pre being pissed off that people are judging.
41. I was born when I was born.
I was born. Okay, Margaret pushed me out when she pushed me out. I can't help it. Anyway. So I don't know like how young it is, because I've only started noticing it in maybe the past few years, and I don't want to blame the pandemic, because I don't think that it's a new phenomenon. I have a feeling everyone starts to feel like that maybe about the age that you are. Maybe around 37, 38 is when I started feeling it. But it's a little different for us because our jobs are so embedded in pop culture. So I think, Miguel, you and I actually are on the later end of that. I think for the average not pop culturally plugged in person, it hits earlier, maybe about 34, 35, maybe even a little earlier than that. And I think it's just getting older. Yes. And so for me, like, okay, I have a kid. I'm dealing with like emails about when the next field trip is, and like also trying to balance that with like, well, what did Travis Kelce say about Taylor Swift, shouting him out? So I'm still in the pop culture realm, but I am severely underknowledgeable, lacking in knowledge about a lot of pop culture stuff.
Right.
Like I watched, the VMAs, let's just say, and I was like, who? Like it was the cliche, stereotypical elder millennial. Like, who are these people?
Who is that?
Like I know the presenters, but like who? It's cliche, but it's cliche for a reason because it happens to us, and it's not. And so this is, you would think for people like us who are in a public facing job that deals with pop culture, it wouldn't happen as much. And I don't think it does, which is why I think we escaped this for so long. But eventually it does happen, even though we are plugged in, because the older we get, the more, and I just saw Teresa Worthley say, oh, ladies, I am 59. I get it. So like, you can speak to this even more though. And I'm not trying to say like we're old. I am not. However, as the new kids become young adults, they create the next levels. And as much as like elder millennials and regular millennials and young millennials can get on board with Gen Z slang and humor, it's not us. We are not that group.
Right.
There's a new group that has supplanted us as the young group. And as much as like I can definitely like understand what a lot of the references are and like how the online dialogue has changed, we're not organically in that group. And
Right.
I think by nature, that's what has to happen. And it's just that we're starting to experience it now.
Right.
There's
Does that make
multiple
sense?
factors too. I mean, the social media realm is constantly changing and we continue to add. We're not taking away. I mean, when we went from MySpace to Facebook, MySpace was obsolete.
Right.
And that's not the case anymore. Now we're balancing Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Reels, Be Real. It just keeps going, keeps adding. And for me, once I got this job, I mean, it's different, I think. Because for me, being a first mic person, I had to be on top of pop culture news every single day. If I didn't have my stories ready the day before, anxiety the morning of. And so I tried not to do that. So I was constantly on my phone, trying to look for stories to talk about the next day. Now that I've taken a seat back in the talking role, and I've definitely, that was the first thing I told you, Holly. I was like, do you need me to help you find stories? And you're like, no, I got it. And I'm like, okay. So I don't feel the need to be on top of it. And I feel like it's been better for my mental health to not be on top of so much pop culture. But the same thing that you said, Miguel, I grab all my social media or all my pop culture news through the same channels. I just don't care about knowing absolutely everything as much anymore.
Right.
I think it's that too. You don't care as much about knowing, because honestly, it doesn't matter. The older you get, the more stuff you have going on in your brain, the more responsibilities, the more life, just life that happens to you.
I also think
you don't have as much room.
Things take on greater importance. Like when I think about what I had this thought last night. And just FYI, like, let's just put it on the table. Like, I take Delta 9 every night to help me sleep. Like, girl, it is what it is. I think we mentioned it before, but it is what it is. So I have like sometimes, especially when Abe's not home, I'll like pause what I'm watching and I'm like, let's think for a little bit.
You want to get a little deep with it?
I did. And so last night, I just thought about this. I went to this whole rabbit hole, and maybe that's why my brain is thinking about this, because I spent about 30 minutes last night watching. So I watched this show called The Gilded Age, and it's very much in the vein of Downton Abbey, but it takes place in America, and it's actually written by Julian Fellows, who wrote Downton Abbey. So it's very much American style, like the 1880s, 1890s, when like Rockefeller and all those people, the robber barons and all that. It's dealing with that part of society, but then the lower class and how America was trying to create its own culture. So I watched the new episode of that last night, and then I was like, I'm not ready for bed. And so then I went and watched the second show that I'm sort of in the middle of watching, and it's this sounds so fucking old. Perry Mason, but it's the new version of it that they have on HBO. It's like very much a sleeper hit. Like
there's a new version of Perry Mason.
Yeah, and I can't think of the actor's name who's starring as Perry Mason. I'll always remember him from Brothers and Sisters, the gay brother, and then he was in The Americans with Kerry Russell. I can't think of what his name is. But this show takes place in the 30s. So for some reason, like the first 10 minutes, I was like, how much time happened between the Gilded Age and Perry Mason? So I got out and I did my calculator and I was like, that's a good 40 years. But look how much life changed in between that. And look how different everything looked. I wonder how much is going to look 40 years from now from what's culture. I mean, then when you think about 40 years from now to 40 years ago, like how different life is. Yes. And I'm like, shit, that does make sense. So this
so you were just tripping out a little bit.
Them solo convos slap. I enjoy my solo convos when I'm high. I love them.
If I have a little piece of a little gummy, then that's when my brain starts to go into that, and I think that I'm the most brilliant person.
Oh yeah, no, it is the gummy one.
Have the best deep thoughts, and I'm like, I can't do anything with these because it's gonna sound silly if we're in real life, but truly, so in the 40 years that I've been alive, life has changed the way that we even live it, the way we know it. The communication age began.
And just real quick,
digital
Holly,
age.
Laura Top Life, because if you're listening to this, you're like, who? Matthew Rhys. That's the actor who plays Perry Mason.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura Top Life.
Yes. So 40 years ago, there was no internet, period, which means the way we live our lives completely changed in 40 years.
Right.
And it's going to continue to change. And so that's what to go back to what I was saying about the younger people. They don't have, and this is not a diss. This is just, it is what it is. Coming now, looking at myself, when I was 20, and I knew everything. I was just talking about this with fashion this morning. We have this radiothon. I'm like, I don't know what to wear. I don't know what to wear to be fashionable right now. And Gen Z would be like, oh my God, that's so cringe. Yeah, but when you get to this age, which sounds old as hell, you're not going to know either because it's too hard to keep up. It moves too fast. When I was 20, I don't even know how I did it. It's just shows that I watched or YouTube videos. And that was new, by the way. YouTube didn't even exist when I was in college. That's kind of, you saw other people and you got a vibe for what they were doing. And you're like, oh, I guess I'll do this too. And you just had more time and more mental capacity for that kind of stuff that ultimately does not really matter.
Right.
But it matters to you because you have time and space for it. And as you get older, you don't have as much capacity to keep up with all of it. The artists that are emerging or the trends that are emerging or what this reality show niche contestant said to another one, it's too much. It's too much, and I have to worry about a raccoon that dug into my roof. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's true. I mean, because when I think about, how I would consume media, yes, it's still the same, but I think I would spend hours on HollywoodReporter.com, and my biggest ooh, I know I've made it was if I was ever able to afford the Hollywood Reporter to get the actual magazine, because I just love the behind the scenes of Hollywood and the entertainment industry. Now I spend a lot of my times listening to political podcasts. And I also sprinkle in a couple of pop culture podcasts as well, just because they do such a great job. And NPR has done such a great job of hiring people our age who break down pop culture trends for other millennials to be
I need to listen to that.
I mean, and there's one, Brittany Luce, for It's Been a Minute. She's done such a great job of just every time that I'm like, what the fuck is this in pop culture? And then she has a new episode and I'm like, thank God she breaking it down for me with high-minded people that break stuff down. And I'm like, all right, at least I can sort of understand and get a grasp on what it is.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. Cause it's by by the time I get home, and like today, we just got some of the first few bills for Abe's appendix surgery. And I was like, bitch, not on my watch. I'm about to go through this bitch and highlight everything and be like, justify it and tell me if I'm paying. But that's going to take me like 4 hours today to do that.
And
that's
the phone call.
Right.
You're going to have to sit on hold with that music. That one.
Yes.
And you're gonna have to sit on hold, and then you're gonna have to like talk to someone who's gonna be like, oh, this isn't my department. They're gonna put you back on hold. It literally takes all day. And they do, by the way, quick side tangent, they do that on purpose. Because they're banking on you not having the patience and not having the time, and you'll just pay it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how insurance works, because someone messes up somewhere, and like if you're not on top of your healthcare, your insurance, whatever it is, it could be for your health, for your car, for whatever, you're going to be getting charged, and they're betting that you do not have the time, the capacity to make those calls and sit on those lines to deal with it. And then they just get their money.
Right.
So anyway, back to you. So you're going to spend all day working on these bills, which are something that you have to get done because that is money, because you're working and you earn the money. And so in your, like, let's say when you were 22 years old, your day's not full of that.
No, I mean,
what do you do when you get done with work?
I mean, so think about, so let's go back in time a little bit. When Holly, you and I were working together in Panama City the first few years, and I was 23, 24. You know, a typical day for me was we would do the show. I would be after like working on stuff, but in between looking at TMZ and stuff like that. And then I would go home, take a quick nap, go to Subway, and then I would go to my part-time job with my friends, Cam and Camila. Right. And then we would sit and we'd gossip, you know, while we were there in the evening, and then talk to people and chit chat about like who's dating who, like who's doing what, like what's going on. And then I was like, wow, I don't have that part of my life. I'm like, listen, I'm in a gay group, so there's always like drama that's happening. Right. But like, I don't insert myself unless it's something like really serious or I have the time to really spend time with it. But otherwise, like that part of my day is doing bills, doing house stuff, running errands, or just resting because I'm tired as fuck. And then trying to like not die early by working on my physical fitness, you know? And so it's like that part of your day is so different than what it looked like, you know, 15 years ago.
Right. I just think back to that version of me who like was just, there was always something I was like stressed out about or whatever. And I'm just like, oh girl, shut up about it. Like, it's not important. But it was then, because that was your life. And it's just sort of like almost like a little bubble. And I think about my life then before all of that stuff. And I would just be like, oh, I have to go grocery shopping. And that was like the biggest thing and like the biggest stressor. Like, what do we even buy? Like, oh God, no. And I had so much extra time to be on like the social media channels and YouTube and be watching things that were pop culturally relevant. And by the way, also my friend group was a lot more close knit from like my college friends. And I had a larger network of people that I had been connected to for a long time. Who also were at the same phase of life. So it's like crowdsourced information. We're all sharing little YouTube videos and little memes and little like this, that posts and whatever. And so it was just so much easier to be on top of everything and not also have to worry about, oh my God, I owe the hospital, you know, $2,000 because you didn't. You had your health.
I've become such a one activity a day person.
That too.
One grocery run and that's it.
One a day.
Tomorrow's errand will be to Target if I need something. Like, I cannot. I've also become, I used to be a person who was like, oh no, like I'll get that at Walmart because it's cheaper. And then I'll go to the grocery store here to get that. No, like now I'll just buy the fucking detergent at Publix. I don't care if I'm spending $10 more.
Ooh,
like,
you buy laundry detergent at Publix?
Girl, if it's BOGO, it's gotta be BOGO.
I'll bet you
quite
rich.
honest.
You gotta wait till it's BOGO. You wait till it's BOGO, then you stock up.
I literally have been like, I do not want to go to any other place to get laundry detergent, but then I'll walk down the aisle at Publix and I'm like, there is like,
I know.
I will literally wear dirty fucking clothes the next day instead of spending an extra $5. Like, that's when I become Angela Jackson, my mom, and I'm like, ooh, girl, Publix is high. How y'all shop here, girl? And people just be putting in laundry detergent stuff in their basket.
Sometimes
I don't do the grocery shopping anymore. You see, I outsourced it because I can't even do it. So my fiance does the grocery shopping, and he only buys things like that when they're on BOGO. Like, because we all know Publix is a little more expensive, obviously, but it is a pleasure to shop there. So
100%.
When like we have probably 6 laundry detergents on top of my on top of my dryer right now, because he only gets it when it's BOGO, and when it's BOGO he goes nuts, and I'm like, we did not need this many. He's like, well, you never know when it's gonna go on BOGO. Like, it might be months.
This is true.
So you have to wait. We do the same thing with sparkling water. We only get sparkling waters that are on BOGO that week. You can't be buying the fancy LaCroix if it's not on the BOGO. So you get LaCroix one with Kelvin and I love Kelvin for this. He'll always open the Publix out on Tuesdays, and after the show, Miguel, you're somewhere else, and he'll be like, it's bubbly this week.
Oh wait,
I miss the sparkling water.
How do I always miss this conversation?
I do it every week, and I love Kelvin for it.
You be eating.
Yeah, you're doing something. And then I'm like, ooh. So then I'll text my fiance and I'll be like, hey, Kelvin said it's a LaCroix week, and so then we'll plot out which LaCroix we want, because the way that sparkling water has a chokehold on our household, and like 2 years ago, I was like, that is silly. That is a fancy treat. No. It's a must-have now.
Must.
Like, I remember back in the day when we used to work with producer Kelvin, producer Ryan, and he loved LaCroix, and I thought it was so stupid.
I was like, how pretentious of you.
I was like, this is the dumbest, ridiculous thing someone could spend money on. This is so stupid.
You know.
Bitch, tell me the last time I had regular water in my house.
We have both, but like, if we don't have sparkling water, it's an emergency. Like, we're like, there's no more. There's one can. Like, did you drink that one? What are we gonna do? And sometimes, like on a weekend, if we have run out, we will go to like a CVS or a Walgreens and just see what they have, just because we're jonesing for it.
I know, like, I will get home on a Friday, because usually Abe will, like, I'll do the beginning of the week shopping for what we're going to eat, because I'm the one that cooks. And then he'll get, like, the weekend stuff that we need for, like, if people come over or whatever.
Yeah.
And then if it's, like, Friday and I get home and I'll open the fridge and there's, like, 2 LaCroix in there, and I'm like, the fuck you been doing all day? Where's this LaCroix, bitch? You know, Friday at 5 o'clock, I'm gonna be like, where's my lime LaCroix to make my cocktail?
I know.
Such a little cup of delight.
Yes. and then we've recently decided you can kind of tell what kind of week it's going to be with what's BOGO, and we're like, if it's like a Waterloo, it's like, that's okay. Bubbly's like, oh, that's bubbly. LaCroix's like, oh, it's LaCroix, but there's one that was not so good. I can't remember.
Sniff drift,
spin drift.
Oh,
I said, don't you ever bring this shit back into this home ever again. We will pay full price before getting spin drift. Anyway, so
there we go. Well, just one more.
I don't know what we were talking about.
I know, right? One more quick thing, because we have to go, because Holly has to fly.
Oh my God, I do have to get on an airplane.
Oh God, what was that point I was about to make?
Social media, radiothon.
It was
social media.
Damn it. It's gone. It went.
Oh, no.
Oh! I remember. Got it.
Praise
so part of the whole thing about like getting older and like time that you have for planning stuff, I think one of the things that I might have to let go as part of my personality trait.
Ooh, what?
That I just like really thought about this because there was a lot of different things happening and stuff that's coming up that normally I would be like the planner. I'm always the group planner who's like, all right, let's get things together.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like lately I do not have the mental capacity to like be the details person. So I feel like, because before I would be the, hey y'all, we're going to do a morning show retreat in January, and I will look at the hotel. Holly, could you handle transportation? Producer Kelvin, can you handle food? And then I'll plan like theme nights or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I can't, like, I'm now the person that's like, all right, this is the dates we're gonna do it, and here's where we're gonna do it. Everyone else handle everything else.
Yeah.
Like I just like I would,
because it's exhausting.
It is. And I felt bad because the Thanksgiving that Holly you came to with my friends Chris and Rob, it was like a co-host thing, because like normally Abe and I would host Thanksgiving and then they do the turkey, but since someone's renting our house, we had to do it at their house. And so Rob for like 3 weeks was like, hey, you gonna create that Facebook group? And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll create the Facebook
Miguel,
event.
you have always been the ringleader.
Right. I'm always the person that's like, oh yeah, I'll do it. I do it. And then finally, like just one day it popped up, like, you got an invite from Rob for Thanksgiving. And I was like,
Rob said, I'm gonna trust you anymore. I
Right.
gotta get this done.
Never fucking mind, I'll do it.
Literally. And I was like, I think I'm gonna have to let that part of my personality go. That like I can be the one, because everyone needs someone that's gonna bring everyone together. And like I still enjoy doing that. But when it comes to doing like putting everything together, so like the cabin trip I have coming up with my college friends, everyone's been like, all right, Miguel, you've been saying you're gonna tell us what type of flannel we need to get for a family picture, who's cooking dinner what night. And I think I'm gonna have to just be like, we're gonna have to delegate. I do not have the mental capacity to sit down and figure all that out while I'm also trying to figure out why they're trying to charge us, $1 million for Abe's appendix.
You get more things going on in your life. And this is, again, I feel like it's like almost slamming people that don't have a lot going on, but it's not.
But even if you don't have a lot going on, you still do just by breathing and like leaving the house.
There's always stuff going on in your life. Obviously, different people have different levels of stuff, but just the getting older, makes it more difficult to do things. Because I remember my mom used to get on me about like, I'd have 2 or 3 different appointments in an afternoon because I'd be like, I have to do them today. I can't do them any other day. And she'd be like, I hope you're not including me in that. I can't do more than one thing in a day. And I'm like, and now I have so much respect for that because I'm like, oh my God, when I have more than one thing, like my plate is so precariously balanced that like you add one thing to it. I'm going to call her the boss real quick.
Ooh.
Because our boss will do that. He will text on a Sunday afternoon. That day has already been allocated.
Right.
And he's like,
that day is
hey,
done.
can we jump on a call? And I'm like, what? Do you mean a call? I already have all the things I had to do today. What do you mean? And so it's not just that, but he'll do a couple other things too. And it's just like, because that's how he operates. But like, I'm like, once the day is set, if you try to throw a wrench into that thing and add more things, I'm like, I get really like intensely irritated. And I'm like, how am I going to get through all this? And then inevitably I do, but it's too much.
Yeah. And then you have the guilt. And then you're like, well, he doesn't do this often. So like, whatever. But then you're like, but no, I need to respect my schedule. Yeah, I get it.
A lot.
Hey, let me tell you, I just got, I have a housewarming stock the bar party for some friends of ours that's been on the calendar now for like a month. And it's from like 4 till whenever in a couple of Saturdays. And then I just got a message this morning that another friend group is throwing a birthday party that night for someone. And I was like, are y'all trying to kill me?
That's too many. You're gonna have to choose.
Don't do it.
Are you trying to now? I gotta like
do it. Girl.
You gotta choose.
Oh,
the easy way to do it is be like, I'm sorry, this person is asked first. I'm previously booked and busy.
Which one's funner?
I was like, they're both fun, and I want to go. I was like, we're gonna do both.
You better block the next week off.
Do it, girl. Do it. It's your little Celsius.
Literally, it's right before vacation, thankfully. So, all right. Well, listen, if you listen to this today on Tuesday, November 28th, the 29th and the 30th of November, we will be doing Miguel and Holly's Miracle Makers Radiothon for Levine Children's Hospital. Please tune in at some point because we're on from 6 a.m. till 7 p.m. And even if you have $5, $15, $30, if you're like, I got a bonus and I want to help out these children, we would greatly appreciate anything that you can donate, any time that you can spend with us over the next 2 days on Hits 96.1.
Because we're about to spend a lot of time.
Yeah.
Nobody asked me to do nothing because we are going to be doing something all day. Clearly.
Holly, I mean, you're here Friday. Do you want to? Yeah. We can go to a
little
party.
escape room. Team bonding.
Absolutely.
Actually, we're finally going to do a photo shoot. So get ready, girl.
I would come at you so hard if we actually had some surprise photo shoot. If you actually planned this surprise photo
like,
shoot,
what would you do if I was like, hey, so after being on the air from 6 a.m. till 7 p.m. 2 days, Friday, right after the show, we're going to do a 3-hour photo shoot at major points around the Queen City.
Ooh.
I don't know what I would do. Like if you were being for real, and our boss was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be great," and I was like, I'd be like, "Oh, okay, then no, that's cool because we need new pictures."
Yeah.
And then I would call my fiance and be like, "You will not believe what these bitches have me doing." And then I'd show up and be like, "Hey,
I'm ready." Hey. That's me every day. All right. Producer Kelvin, how can people find you on social media?
At Kelvin Live, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Be Real, OnlyFans coming soon.
Oh, no, it won't. Holly, what's your social media?
Radio Holly, TikTok, X,
XX.
Facebook, all the other things, whatever. Threads. Yeah, I'm still really trying to get Threads to go. I tweeted my best friend Devin Sawa, and he said he was trying to get on Threads too. So. I'm trying.
You should invite him on the podcast. That'd be fun to talk to him.
We got to have a reason though, otherwise I'll feel like a creepy stalker.
Right. Oh, Kelvin, we're supposed to be talking to your friend today, the contestant.
So he's not allowed to speak until December 6th. Contractually.
Yeah. Got it. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Well, producer Kelvin has a friend that's on a new reality show that we're hoping to talk to and get the little tea behind the scenes on what that's like. But when December 6th is when we'll be talking to him, apparently.
That's what he said.
Okay. All right. Well, you can follow me on all social media platforms at Miguel Fuller on Peloton, Instagram, TikTok, all the stuff. And Be Real. We will see you back here on Friday and hear you on the Radiothon.